Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tess, and today we will be doing my September TBR. Now, a little bit of backstory. I'm from Australia, so our seasons are not the seasons of the US. So I am sad to announce that while everybody is showing their beautiful fall, cozy vibe, murder mystery, dark academia novels to like welcome fall and really enjoy that, it is not fall here. It is not autumn, it is spring. So I'm just going to have to watch from afar as everyone kind of like enjoys their beautiful autumnal vibes. However, for me it's spring, which is also a beautiful season. The sun is shining and it is still the end of winter, so we'll see how that goes. But yes, anyway, getting into it, today I'm going to be doing my September TBR. Now, I technically have 7 books on my TBR. However, it's quite possible that could balloon due to some of the books on here. Anyway, I'll get right into it. So my first book, which I don't think is going to surprise many people, is Babel. So Babel by R.F. Kuang, or it's also known as A Necessity of Violence, I believe. An Arcane History. Oh my god, this sounds phenomenal. I have avoided spoilers and reviews and everything like as much as possible so that this does not become spoiled for me. I'm really enjoying R.F. Kuang's writing. I'm currently reading through The Poppy War at the moment, which I'm finding very enjoyable. But I've just put it aside temporarily because it's quite a big series. Not a big series, it's a heavy series. There's a lot, and I'm loving it, but I've just sidelined it temporarily, which probably isn't going to stay sidelined for very long. But yes, Babel. So as far as I'm aware, this is set in kind of like an alternate universe in the 1830s, I suppose, in like England. And we follow an orphan boy who I believe gets adopted and ends up going to a school, and it's all about like the pursuit of knowledge. I believe there's magical elements to this. I'm very intrigued. The back of the book says an active translation is always an act of betrayal, which, like, doesn't that just grab you? Yeah, so I'm very intrigued by this. I purposely don't know too much about it. I did do a tiny little bit of spoiler-free research, and from what I can see, it's actually classified as a speculative fiction. So whatever that means, I think it's kind of because it's an alternate universe and there's fantastical elements. But yes, Babel by R.F. Kuang is the first book of my September TBR, and I am very excited. Also, I got the floppy paperback. It's such a good one. It's so good. Anyway, so Babel. So my second and third book is actually a duology. I don't have the first book with me at the moment on because I don't own it, so I have to go pick it up actually. And it is a YA duology. I do not read YA very often, if ever. The only YA I tend to grab at all recently, and by recently I mean the past couple of years, is really books that, like, I grew up reading, like books that I've already loved and adored, books that I already own. I haven't been too interested in actually going out and buying them. However, this book was purchased for me by my little sister and she sent it to me, and it sounds very interesting. And since it's just a duology, nice, short, sweet, I thought it would be a really nice kind of couple of books to slot in between some of my bigger, because there are some big boys on here, bigger books like Babel, the Poppy War series, etc. And that is This Wicked Fate and This Poison Heart. Now, I only have This Wicked Fate, and I actually thought it was a standalone, only for me to do a quick Google and realize, actually no, there's another book before this. So my second and third book, and I will put the other one up here, is This Poison Heart and This Wicked Fate. I don't know too much about this. I purposely don't want to, because YA books read so quick for me, and I feel like they're YA. I think they're very easy, at least for me personally, to be able to get through and to read and kind of like consume and take in. I try not to read too much into the blurbs. I feel like, especially for a short novel like this, it could be very spoilery. However, my understanding is it's some sort of fantasy fairy tale-esque, possibly a retelling or an inspired story. But it sounds very, very good, and my little sister hasn't steered me wrong yet. So yes, This Wicked Fate and This Poison Heart are the next two books on my TBR list. So for someone who just spoke about not reading YA and not reaching for YA or anything, I have a YA novel. I believe it's YA. Now, I picked this up because one of the bookshops that I try to shop at semi-regularly now, and I've been into just a few times since I've discovered it. It's called Better Read Than Dead. It's in Sydney in Australia, and I love it. I follow their Instagram actually, and I found, to my surprise, a new book that sounds really interesting, and they had like an author event and everything like that for the author, who's Sydney Koo. I believe that's how you say their name. So this book is called The Spider and Her Demons. Look at this cover. This looks incredible. This is from an Australian author. Sydney sounds like they're an incredible writer. Just the concept of this book really, really intrigues me. I am going to read you the blurb because I think it's super, super interesting. So, between surviving high school and working at her aunt's dumpling shop, and I believe this is how you say it, Z is to find time for her friends and make sure no one finds out that she's half a spider demon. But when she accidentally kills and eats a man in front of the most popular girl in school, she discovers she might not be the scariest thing in the shadows. This is a book about demons and witches and finding and being true to who you are, and it sounds incredible. So I'm very, very excited. I follow Sydney now on Instagram as well, and they sound amazing. So I'm very, very excited to jump into this. Again, it's a YA. It's going to be a very quick novel. But yes, I always love to try and support more Australian authors. This next book, I am a fantasy girly. I'm a fantasy and a cozy mystery girly. Occasionally I like a biography. I did just finish a really great one last month. There'll be a recap. But this is a literary fiction book. I do not read a lot of literary fiction. I'm just very much into my fantasy era right now. I always have been. It's how my dad raised me. This book, however, sounds incredible, and I'm very, very excited for it. And this is Lessons in Chemistry. One, they're going to turn it into an Apple TV show, and I don't watch a lot of TV at all. But if it's a good book, then I have a TV show that I can finally watch. The second thing is, this is about a cooking show. Like, Lessons in Chemistry is about a cooking show. So from my understanding, our main character is actually a scientist or a chemist, and something happens in which she leaves her research team at the institute that she works at, and she signs on to be the host of a cooking show. I don't know too much about it. I've tried very hard to like avoid it. Again, I like to go into my books without too many spoilers or anything like that. But yes, this sounds really, really good. It sounds really beautiful. It sounds very, very, very intriguing to me. And so I'm very excited to read it. Yes. I don't really know what else to say. I'm just genuinely, I think this could be a really, really incredible book. I have high hopes, but I'm trying really hard to like tamper my hopes so I don't. Yes, but I'm not a literary fiction girly, so I'm hoping this might change me. This might change my mind. So I technically have 2 more books left on this TBR. And this is where I'm not sure if this TBR is going to stay as a 7 book or turn into a 9, possibly 11 book situation. The first book is Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. Now, in my August wrap-up video, which will be coming out very, very soon, I talk about having finally committed and read the Farseer trilogy. And I'm already crying thinking about it. Oh my god. I thought that was a brilliant, one of the best introductions to a massive... I'm actually crying thinking about this. I think it was a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant trilogy. I loved it. They were all one was a 4.7 5-star. That was the first one. The other 2 were 5-star reads to me. One of my favorite books ever was the second book, Royal Assassin, which I know a lot of people have said was very hard for them to get through, or they didn't want to continue on with the series because of what happens. But I think what Robin Hobb decides to do with Fitz and what he goes through, so without any spoilers, something happens to him that in my mind would fundamentally change a human, down to like his, like the last cell. He is a completely different person, and I think that's incredible. I think that's a really, like, just reading Royal Assassin was mind-blowing to me. Reading Assassin's Quest and like the follow-on and the consequences of this and everything that happens after was incredible. I loved it. I love her writing. She draws me in. I'm obsessed. This is what I've been wanting for. I've been wanting a fantasy series that just draws me in. So, Ship of Magic is the next book on my series that I want to read. This is the first book in the Live Ship Trader trilogy. I believe it happens just after or somewhat around the same time as the Farseer trilogy. And we do not follow Fitz. We follow an entirely new cast of characters. There is pirates and merchant ships and magic. And it sounds incredible. The thing that's really drawn me in about this, that I'm more than excited about, is when we say Ship of Magic, they mean literally ship of magic. The ships are sentient. They are sentient. They have, I don't know, other than that, they're just sentient. And that sounds absolutely incredible to me. That sounds mind-blowing. I'm drawn in, I'm obsessed, and I really, 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 really love when a fantasy realm, like Realm of the Elderlings, or a fantasy world, has multiple stories that happen across it that don't necessarily always include the same person. I think that's really a brilliant way to kind of flesh out a world and get like let us as the readers see and absorb more of what the author is obviously envisioning. Anyway, so Ship of Magic. Now, the reason I'm worried that this might turn into a bigger situation is the following books, The Mad Ship and Ship of Destiny, the other two. And I don't have them on my shelf, but they have been ordered, so they are the other two. If this book is anything like Assassin's Apprentice was, Royal Assassin, or Assassin's Quest, it will leave me wanting to pick up the sequel immediately. So anyway, I've rambled on long enough. The next book on my TBR is Ship of Magic. Finally, the final book is one that I have not seen spoken about probably ever. It is by an Australian author, again, and it is the first book in the Tales of the Otori series. So this series is originally a trilogy, followed by a prequel, an additional sequel, I think, and then maybe one other standalone in this world. Across the Nightingale Floor. Now, when I tell you that I am so excited to read this book, this is supposed to be like magic, love, a revenge story, suspense. There's action. There is, for the gist of it, in one of the strongest fortresses in this world, there's something called a Nightingale Floor, which sings at every step of a human's foot. And obviously, you can't get across it without people knowing that you're there, and so you die. So there's this like murderous warlord who probably, like, I feel from what I understand, like rules over this world and everything like that, and people want him to die. Then there is a young boy. Our main character is part of like a hidden tribe where they are a peaceful spiritual tribe. However, he somehow, despite all of his learnings and teachings and everything like that in the peaceful ways, possesses a deadly skill, and that deadly skill is what makes him so valuable to another tribe that is sinister and deadly. And well, I'm sure you can see where this is going. This sounds incredible. I'm so excited to read it. It came out in 2002, which is probably why I haven't heard too many people talk about it at all. But yes, Across the Nightingale Floor is another series I'm starting, but I'm really, really hoping that it is as incredible as it sounds. Okay. Anyway, that's my September TBR. Sorry for all my rambling. This is going to be a fun video to edit, I have to admit. But yeah, alright, have a lovely day. Bye.